Terrifying, isn't it? The things we won't admit to ourselves, let alone others. Today, we're going to peel back the mask, to peer into the heart of something rather elusive, something we don't often talk about with any real honesty. Dismissive avoidance. Ah, yes, you may have heard the term, or perhaps you've encountered one, or been one, without ever knowing it. These are the people who seem so calm, so unaffected by emotional intensity, as though nothing can quite touch them. The ones who keep you at arm's length, even as you reach out. But here's the thing, if they were truly honest, brutally honest, with us and with themselves, what might they say? What truths lie beneath that calm exterior? What are they running from? And more importantly, what are they denying to themselves? Let me tell you a little story. Picture someone. Let's call him Robert. Robert has always prided himself on being independent, self-sufficient. I don't need anyone, he'd tell himself, and anyone else who asked. He was the kind of man who kept his emotions in check, the kind of person who, when relationships grew too intense, would quietly retreat. Not abruptly, of course. Oh no. It was more subtle than that. A slow withdrawal. A few cancelled plans here. A little less eye contact there. And eventually, the people in his life learned to stop asking for more. They accepted his emotional distance, and Robert, well, he was just fine with that. Now, if Robert were honest with us, he might say something like this. I don't need closeness. It's unnecessary. I'm fine on my own. People make things messy. They want too much, expect too much. And why? For what? Connection? Dependency? No, thank you. But if Robert were truly honest, if he could face the truth that even he refuses to acknowledge, he might add something like this. You see, I push people away because I'm terrified that if they get too close, they'll see the real me. The part of me that's vulnerable, that's scared. And if they see that, they'll hurt me. Or worse, they'll leave. You see, dismissive avoidance, for all their calm exterior, for all their insistence that they don't need connection, they're hiding something far more fragile underneath. It's a protective shell, yes, but one that's grown too thick, too impenetrable. If they could be honest, they'd tell you that the reason they distance themselves, the reason they avoid emotional intimacy, is because they've learned, somewhere along the way, that to need someone, to truly need them, is to invite the kind of pain that they've spent their whole lives trying to avoid. And here's the cruel irony. They tell themselves they're independent, that they're strong, because they don't need the messiness of human relationships. But in truth, that distance is their greatest weakness. It's a fear dressed up as self-sufficiency. They've built walls so high that not only can no one get in, but they themselves are trapped behind them. Safe, yes, but oh, so terribly alone. Now let's dig a little deeper. If a dismissive avoidant were to be truly vulnerable, they might say, I don't know how to need someone. It terrifies me. The idea of leaning on another person, of depending on them, feels like giving up control. And control, well, control is how I survive. So I keep my distance. I keep everything at arm's length. People, emotions, vulnerability, because that's the only way I know how to stay safe. But safety, my friends, is not the same as happiness, nor is it the same as love. You see, dismissive avoidants believe that by keeping people at a distance, they're protecting themselves. But in reality, they're starving themselves of the very thing they claim not to need. Connection. Real, meaningful connection. The kind that allows you to be seen, flaws and all, and still be loved. And so, if they were honest, truly honest, they might whisper something they've kept buried for so long. I push you away because I'm afraid that if you see the real me, you won't stay. So I leave first, emotionally if not physically. It's easier that way. But God, do I want someone to stay, to fight past the walls I've built, to see me, the real me, and not run away. You see, dismissive avoidants aren't cold, they aren't heartless, they're just scared. Terrified, really, of what happens when they let someone in. Because letting someone in means risking the pain they've spent their entire lives avoiding. It means confronting the very thing they've told themselves they don't need. Love, intimacy, vulnerability. But here's the thing. What they won't tell you, what they won't even tell themselves, is that deep down they do need it. They need it desperately. They've just convinced themselves that the cost of opening up, of being truly known, is too high. So they retreat behind that wall, telling themselves they're fine, that they're better off alone. But if they were honest, if they could really strip away the defenses, they might say, I don't want to be alone. I just don't know how to be with someone without losing myself, without being hurt. So I stay in this prison of my own making, convincing myself that this is what I want. But sometimes, in the quiet moments, I wonder what it would be like to truly let someone in. And that, my friends, is the heart of the dismissive avoidant, a person who has built their entire identity around not needing others, only to find that this identity, this shield, has left them isolated. The truth they can't admit. They crave connection just like anyone else, but the fear of being hurt, of being abandoned, has led them to choose solitude over love. The complexity of it all. To want something so deeply, yet to be so afraid of it at the same time. It's a dance, really. A delicate, painful dance between desire and fear. And until they're willing to be honest with themselves, that dance will continue. The walls will remain. And the loneliness they fear most, it will be their only constant companion. So what would they say if they were truly honest? They'd tell you they're scared, scared of needing, scared of loving, scared of being hurt. But beneath all that fear is a heart that wants, needs connection. A heart that longs for someone who won't be scared off by the distance, who won't give up at the first sign of emotional retreat. Someone who will stay. And maybe, just maybe, if they find that someone, or if they learn to be that someone for themselves, they'll realize that love, as terrifying as it is worth the risk. The complexity of the human heart, always protecting itself, yet always longing to be seen.